China may have developed a weapon designed to attack the aircraft that hold America's entire Pacific air campaign together without first defeating its frontline fighters. According to Bloomberg, Beijing has developed hypersonic glide vehicles capable of carrying and launching air-to-air weapons against high-value aircraft thousands of kilometers away. The reported targets are not conventional fighter jets. They are aerial refueling tankers, airborne early warning aircraft, surveillance platforms, and flying command posts, including the U.S. Air Force's E-4B Night Watch. These aircraft normally remain far behind the battlefield, coordinating operations and supporting fighters operating closer to enemy territory. But China's reported weapon could bring those supposedly protected rear areas within range. The claim is based on a person with direct knowledge of the development who spoke to Bloomberg anonymously because of the sensitivity of the information. China has not publicly demonstrated the full system.
大家好，这里是感人死绝频道。刚才精彩集锦中提到的消息确实令人关注。过去人们谈到高超音速武器，往往只想到速度快、难拦截，但这次报道所揭示的思路更加大胆，把高超音速滑翔载具变成高速空中平台，在飞越数千公里之后再释放空对空导弹，直接威胁空中加油机、预警机、监视平台，甚至是远离前线的空中指挥所。换句话说，未来决定空战胜负的可能不只是战斗机之间的正面交锋，而是谁能先切断对手的眼睛、耳朵和后勤支撑。美国空军长期依赖这些高价值支援军机维持太平洋方向的作战体系，一旦连所谓安全的后方空域都变得不再安全，整个作战半径、指挥节奏和部署方式都可能被迫改变。当然，目前这套系统的名称、状态和具体性能仍未完全公开，消息也主要来自匿名人士。但正因为细节尚未揭晓，才更值得我们继续追问中国究竟已经走到了哪一步？这种系统又会如何改变远程空战的规则？接下来，我们就从技术原理、打击目标和战略影响3个方面展开分析。
China may have developed a weapon designed to attack the aircraft that hold America's entire Pacific air campaign together without first defeating its frontline fighters. According to Bloomberg, Beijing has developed hypersonic glide vehicles capable of carrying and launching air-to-air weapons against high-value aircraft thousands of kilometers away. The reported targets are not conventional fighter jets. They are aerial refueling tankers, airborne early warning aircraft, surveillance platforms, and flying command posts, including the U.S. Air Force's E-4B Night Watch. These aircraft normally remain far behind the battlefield, coordinating operations and supporting fighters operating closer to enemy territory. But China's reported weapon could bring those supposedly protected rear areas within range. The claim is based on a person with direct knowledge of the development who spoke to Bloomberg anonymously because of the sensitivity of the information. China has not publicly demonstrated the full system, and important details, including its name, operational status, missile payload, and targeting mechanism, remain unknown. But if the capability is mature, it could represent a major shift in long-range aerial warfare. A hypersonic glide vehicle, or HGV, is initially carried to high altitude by a ballistic missile. It then separates from the booster and maneuvers through the atmosphere towards its target at speeds exceeding Mach 5. Unlike a conventional ballistic warhead following a more predictable arc, the glide vehicle can alter its direction and altitude during flight. China reportedly intends to use the HGV not merely as a weapon striking the final target, but as a high-speed carrier capable of releasing a separate air-to-air missile. That would allow Beijing to move an interceptor rapidly across enormous distances before launching the final weapon closer to the targeted aircraft. In effect, China would be attempting to turn a hypersonic strike system into an airborne missile launch platform. The military importance lies in the identity of the targets. American fighters such as the F-22 and F-35 have limited combat radii. During a conflict across vast distances of the Pacific, they would depend heavily on aerial refueling tankers to remain airborne and reach operational areas. Airborne warning and control aircraft provide radar coverage, coordinate fighters, and track enemy aircraft and missiles. Command aircraft connect commanders with forces spread across the air, sea, and land domains. Remove those support platforms and the effectiveness of the frontline combat force can deteriorate rapidly. Fighters would have less fuel, shorter operating times, reduced situational awareness, and weaker coordination. China would therefore not need to destroy every American combat aircraft. It could instead attempt to attack the smaller number of vulnerable platforms, enabling those fighters to operate. This reflects a broader Chinese military approach focused on producing system-level damage, disrupting the communications, sensors, logistics, and command networks connecting individual weapons into a functioning force. Bloomberg reports that China has also added air-to-air capabilities to some hypersonic cruise missiles and anti-ship roles to several missile types. That suggests Beijing is attempting to make its rapidly expanding missile arsenal capable of attacking nearly every major category of target: airfields, ships, ports, command centers, satellites, missile defenses, and now aircraft in flight. China already operates the DF-17, which carries a hypersonic glide vehicle and is estimated to have a range of approximately 2,400 kilometers. The more advanced DF-27 is believed to have a range approaching 8,000 kilometers, potentially placing targets as distant as Hawaii within reach. China would not need to guarantee that every hypersonic interceptor reaches its target. It would only need to convince American commanders that their tankers, radar aircraft, and flying command posts are no longer safe, forcing the entire U.S. air campaign to move farther away from the battlefield.
China has revealed more than another launch of its DF-17 hypersonic missile. The footage shows Beijing testing whether the weapon can remain mobile even after its final launch sequence has begun, making it harder for an enemy to locate, track, and destroy. The exercise appeared in Securing Victory, where it focused on the PLA rocket force, the branch responsible for China's land-based ballistic missiles and much of its strategic deterrent. So, what exactly is the DF-17? The system combines a rocket booster with a hypersonic glide vehicle. The booster initially accelerates the weapon to extreme speed and altitude. After separation, the glide vehicle descends into the atmosphere and maneuvers toward its target. That flight pattern distinguishes it from a conventional ballistic missile, which generally follows a higher and more predictable arc after launch. China describes the DF-17 as the world's first operational hypersonic glide weapon system. It entered public view during Beijing's 2019 National Day Parade and is believed to have been in PLA service since around 2020. From launch areas in eastern China, that estimated reach could cover Taiwan and military targets across much of the first island chain, the strategic arc extending from Japan through Taiwan to the Philippines.
China has publicly revealed its airborne nuclear strike system in operation for the first time, showing an H-6N strategic bomber carrying a massive ballistic missile beneath its fuselage, while two J-20 stealth fighters provide escort. The footage was released as part of a Chinese military documentary jointly published by the Central Military Commission's Political Work Department, the Cyberspace Administration of China, and China Media Group. China Daily identified the weapon carried by the bomber as what appears to be the JL-1, a long-range, nuclear-capable air-launched ballistic missile. The H-6N is a modified version of China's long-serving H-6 bomber. Unlike earlier variants, it is designed to carry a single oversized weapon beneath its fuselage and can be refueled in the air, extending the distance from which it can launch an attack. The two J-20s flying beside it are also significant. The H-6N is not a stealth aircraft and could be vulnerable to enemy fighters and long-range air defenses. China's fifth-generation J-20s would provide protection, intercept approaching aircraft, and help create a secure corridor for the bomber. The formation was shown during a simulated joint operation against a large enemy naval fleet approaching China. The JEIL-1 is believed to be capable of carrying either conventional or nuclear payloads, potentially allowing the bomber to threaten aircraft carriers, command centers, and strategic targets far beyond China's coastline.
Beijing first displayed the JL-1 publicly during its September 2025 military parade, when it presented its complete land, sea, and air nuclear forces together.
Air-launched ballistic missiles offer several advantages over fixed silos. A bomber can relocate, approach from different directions, and release its weapon from an unpredictable launch point, complicating an enemy's early warning and missile defense calculations. The system completes the operational picture of China's nuclear triad: land-based missiles, submarine-launched weapons, and now a visibly deployed airborne delivery platform. Beijing maintains that its nuclear arsenal exists for deterrence and that China follows a no-first-use policy. But the public release of this formation is also unmistakable strategic messaging, particularly as military tensions rise around Taiwan and the Western Pacific. The message is that China's nuclear deterrent is no longer confined to underground silos or submarines hidden at sea, with the missiles potentially moving from Urumqi through Pakistan to Iran by air or land. The weapons would help Iran rebuild its short-range defenses after months of US and Israeli strikes exposed weaknesses in its fixed air defense network. Unlike large systems such as the S-300 and Bavar 373, manpads can be carried by small teams, hidden quickly, and redeployed with little warning. Iran is reportedly pursuing similar capabilities from Russia. Asia Times reported that Tehran signed a $591 million agreement in December 2025 for 500 Verba launchers and 2,500 missiles, with deliveries planned through 2029. China's foreign ministry has called the reports groundless, while Pakistan has denied any role in transporting the weapons. President Donald Trump has also warned that such a transfer would contradict assurances from Chinese President Xi Jinping.
今天这期内容表面上是在讲高超音速武器、远程空对空导弹以及伊朗可能获得的单兵便携式防空系统，但如果把这些信息放在一起观察，就会发现它们共同指向的是现代战争中一个越来越清晰的变化。决定战场胜负的往往不再只是拥有多少架战斗机、多少艘军舰或者多少枚导弹，而是谁能够更快地发现对手，切断对手的指挥，压缩对手的行动空间，并让对方最关键的支援节点失去安全感。传统空战的想象通常集中在战斗机之间的正面交锋，哪一方拥有更先进的雷达、更强的机动性能、更远的导弹射程，似乎就更有可能赢得制空权。但在广阔的太平洋战场上，战斗机并不是孤立作战的，他们需要空中加油机延长制空时间，需要预警机提供雷达覆盖，需要指挥平台协调来自空中、海上和陆地的力量，还需要稳定的通信网络、卫星系统和后勤保障，才能把单架飞机的性能转化为整个作战体系的效率。也正因为如此，攻击这些支援平台可能比逐一追逐前线战斗机更加有效。高超音速滑翔载具真正令人关注的地方，不只是速度超过5马赫，也不只是它能够改变航向和飞行高度，而是它有可能被改造成一种高速空中发射平台。它先借助火箭升空，再在远距离高速滑翔，接近目标区域之后释放空对空武器。这样一来，原本部署在后方的加油机、预警机和空中指挥所也可能被迫重新考虑自己的位置。这背后的核心逻辑是用较少数量的高价值武器去威胁数量有限但作用巨大的关键节点。前线战斗机即使没有被击落，只要缺少燃料补给，无法得到完整的雷达信息，或者失去统一指挥，他们的作战效率就会迅速下降。换句话说，现代战争不一定要把对方所有武器全部摧毁，只要让对方无法把这些武器组织起来，形成持续、协调、稳定的打击力量，就可能达到瘫痪整个体系的效果。从这个角度看，东风17受到关注，还有一个容易被忽视的原因，那就是发射前的机动能力。导弹从发射车升空的瞬间当然危险， 但在发射之前，发射车如何隐藏、如何转移、如何在阵地暴露之后迅速撤离，同样决定了这套系统能不能真正生存下来。假如一套已经进入准备状态的武器仍然能够在最后阶段改变位置，那么对手就必须面对更复杂的侦察和打击难题。它不只是飞得快，更可能藏得深、动得快、反应快。这也说明高超音速武器的价值不能只用射程和速度来衡量，真正重要的是它能不能嵌入一张完整的侦察、指挥、通信和打击网络之中。没有准确情报，再快的武器也可能找不到目标；没有稳定通信，再强的发射平台也难以协同；没有持续的后勤和保障，任何所谓的先进能力都无法长时间维持。未来的远程空战很可能是传感器、数据链、卫星、无人系统和导弹平台之间的整体较量。中国公开展示轰六甲和歼20编队以及空射弹道导弹的画面，也传递出类似的信号：空击核力量的意义在于平台可以持续机动，从不同方向接近目标，并在更难预测的位置发射武器。它与陆基导弹和海基潜射力量结合之后，就构成更加复杂的战略威慑结构。北京强调核武器用于威慑，并奉行不首先使用核武器政策，但任何公开展示都不仅是装备介绍，也是在向外界展示能力、传递意志，并影响对手的判断。当然，必须强调的是，今天节目中涉及的许多内容仍然来自媒体报道、匿名消息人士和外界推测，相关武器的完整名称、实际服役状态、弹头类型、制导方式和真实作战效能，并没有全部公开验证。军事宣传片能够展示一部分能力，却不等于完整披露了系统的可靠性。战场上的天气、电子干扰、目标机动、情报误差以及后勤条件都可能改变武器的实际效果。因此，我们既不能把报道当成已经发生的事实，也不能因为细节尚未完全公开，就忽视它可能带来的战略影响。而在伊朗方向，单兵便携式防空系统所体现的又是另一种作战趋势。大型防空系统能够覆盖更远距离，但往往更容易被侦察和定位。监射防空导弹则可以由小组携带，隐藏在城市、山地、村镇甚至临时阵地之中。发射之后迅速转移，它们未必能够改变高空制空权，却可以让低空飞行变得危险，威胁直升机、运输机、救援平台和无人机，甚至迫使先进战机调整飞行路线和任务方式。这意味着战场正在出现一种上下分层的危险局面，一方可能掌握高空优势，能够压制固定式防空阵地，但当飞机降低高度执行侦察、支援和监视任务时，又会进入便携式防空武器的伏击范围。对飞行员而言，危险不一定来自远处清晰可见的雷达信号，也可能来自一支隐藏在地面、几乎不发出预警的小型作战小组。对无人机而言，数量优势也未必意味着低成本，因为一旦损失持续增加，侦察和打击任务就必须重新计算风险。把太平洋方向的远程高超音速打击与中东战场的低空便携式防空威胁放在一起，我们看到的是同一个主题：现代战争正在从摧毁单件装备转向改变对方整个作战体系的运行方式。远程武器试图让后方不再安全，隐蔽防空试图让低空不再安全，机动发射平台试图让固定目标难以寻找，而无人系统和数据网络则把越来越多的传感器与武器连接起来。对任何军事强国来说，真正的挑战已经不只是拥有更先进的飞机和导弹，而是能否保护自己的指挥链、补给线、空中支援平台和信息网络。未来战争的胜负可能在战斗机彼此看见之前，就已经通过情报获取、节点压制和体系干扰悄悄展开。那些看起来不在最前线的飞机、车辆、通信站和操作人员，反而可能成为最值得保护也最值得攻击的目标。这同样提醒我们，面对不断出现的军事消息，需要保持清醒和克制。武器性能不能只看宣传，战略意图也不能只听口号。真正值得关注的是这些能力是否已经形成稳定的部署体系，是否能够在强干扰环境下持续运行，以及它们会不会进一步增加误判、升级和冲突扩大的风险。技术越先进，决策越需要谨慎，打击距离越遥远，危机管控就越不能被忽视。那么，你认为未来空战最关键的竞争会是高超音速武器的速度，还是侦察、通信与指挥网络的稳定性？面对能够隐藏和机动的防空小组、昂贵的先进战机和无人机，又该如何降低风险？ 欢迎在评论区留下你的看法，也欢迎点赞订阅，观看更多精彩视频。